The Argus Corporation believed itself untouchable. A sprawling interstellar powerhouse, it dictated the economic pulse of 7 planetary systems, controlled private militaries larger than most planetary defense forces, and had its hands in everything from weapons research to genetic augmentation. They crushed rebellions, eliminated competitors, and silenced anyone who threatened their bottom line. But despite their dominance, one problem continued to resurface like a bad omen. A mercenary named Erin Voss. 4 years, she had disrupted their most secretive operations. She didn't just kill their assassins. She erased entire squads without leaving a trace. She didn't just destroy their illegal research facilities. She stole classified data and leaked it to rival corporations and rebel factions, ensuring that Argus' dirty secrets weren't just buried, they were put on display for the entire galaxy to see. To the outside world, she was an enigma wrapped in shadow. Some whispered that she was ex-special forces. Others believed she was a rogue experiment, enhanced beyond human limits. But the most chilling rumor? They called her Death's partner. Not because of the bodies she left behind, but because some swore that she never worked alone. They spoke of a presence, something that moved in the dark with her. Something not human. Argus scoffed at myths. They dealt in cold, hard reality. And reality dictated that no single mercenary could be allowed to damage their empire for much longer. So they devised a final solution. They would lure Erin into a perfect trap, and eliminate her. Permanently. The bait, a vault too tempting to ignore. Argus crafted the perfect lure. They leaked intel about a high-value research vault on a remote moon in the Iskara system. According to the data, this vault housed a database of Argus' most classified projects, everything from weapons research to biowarfare experiments. It was exactly the kind of target Erin had spent years dismantling. To make the bait even sweeter, Argus fabricated a distress signal, a fake message from a supposed defected scientist, begging for extraction before Argus could silence him. They knew she had a soft spot for rescuing people caught in corporate crossfire. The setup was flawless. She wouldn't be able to resist. And when she arrived, she would find death waiting for her. The kill team, the best of the best. Argus didn't rely on standard corporate security. They needed something deadlier. They assembled a specialized kill team, a unit comprised of elite hunters trained specifically to eliminate high-value rogue assets like Erin. Their leader was Commander Straven, a former Black Omega operative, one of the few men who had personally executed over 100 targets without a single failure. His team? Kara Voss, no relation, but just as deadly. A sniper enhanced with neural augmentation, capable of making impossible shots in any environment. Rax Devorian, ex-Imperial shock trooper. Cybernetically enhanced strength, capable of tearing through reinforced bulkheads like paper. Valen Ghost Sorais, a stealth specialist, equipped with experimental optical camouflage that made him nearly invisible to the naked eye. Drone teams, swarms of high-speed, AI-assisted drones, programmed for rapid reconnaissance and surgical strike attacks. The team had access to Argus' most advanced military technology. They had deployed on dozens of high-risk assassination missions. They had never failed. Straven was confident. They had accounted for every possibility. The moment Erin stepped onto that moon, she would be locked in a death box with no way out. The waiting game, a phantom in the dark. The trap was set. Straven's team deployed ahead of schedule, securing the vault and locking down every escape route. Kara set up 3 sniper nests, covering every approach angle. Valen and his stealth drones swept the entire compound to ensure there were no weaknesses in their perimeter. Rax reinforced the main chamber, rigging the entire structure with detonators. If Erin somehow made it that far, they would bury her under a mountain of debris. Then, they waited. Hours passed. Nothing. The sensors remained silent. Straven's gut churned. Something was wrong. Their intel suggested Erin should have arrived by now. Where was she? Then, the power flickered. The first mistake, a whisper too late. Straven's instinct screamed. Check the external grid. A technician hurried to the control panel, then froze. Commander, he whispered, voice unsteady. The main grid is showing a full diagnostic cycle. But, we didn't initiate it. Straven's blood turned to ice. A full system cycle meant the security network had reset itself. They were blind for precisely 0.8 seconds. A window too fast for most intruders to exploit. But for Erin? It was a lifetime. Sound the alarm. The technician moved to comply. And a single gunshot rang out. The man collapsed, a perfectly placed bullet between his eyes. Sniper fire. Kara's sniper fire. But Kara was on their side. Straven's comm crackled. I didn't take that shot. A chill swept through him. Then who the hell? A second shot rang out. Valen's voice cut through the comms, panicked. Ghost is down. Repeat, Ghost is. Static. Silence. Straven turned sharply toward Rax, who was already drawing his plasma rifle. Commander, what the hell is happening? Straven gritted his teeth. Erin was already inside the perimeter. And she was hunting them. The moment they knew they were prey. Straven switched to emergency override mode, forcing the system to lock down the vault and seal all exits. Group up, he ordered. No one moves alone. They repositioned. Then, the lights went out completely. Backup generators should have kicked in instantly. They didn't. A slow, dreadful realization settled over the squad. Erin had control. Rax checked his weapon, the glow of his HUD casting an eerie red light against the darkness. This doesn't make sense. How did she? A scream cut him off. Not over the comms. From right outside the chamber. Straven raised his rifle, heart pounding. Who was that? No answer. Then a voice whispered from the darkness. Not over the comms. Right behind him. You shouldn't have come looking for me. Straven spun, weapon raised. Nothing. Just shadows. The squad held position, weapons trained on every possible angle. Then came the whispers. Not Erin's voice. Not human. Something older. Something hungry. Straven's breath came short. The rumors, the stories, they weren't just myths. Erin Voss wasn't alone. She never had been. And now? Neither were they. Commander Straven was no stranger to death. He had killed warlords, revolutionaries, rogue agents, but nothing compared to the suffocating silence of this mission. Erin Voss was inside their perimeter. His men were trained for anything: assassination, counterinsurgency, electronic warfare. But this? They weren't hunting Erin anymore. She was hunting them. The first casualty had been Ghost, Valen Sorais. One of the best infiltration specialists in the sector, ripped apart without so much as a struggle. Then, Silco, their drone specialist. Dead before he could even send a distress call. Their team had full-body armor, neural enhancements, and cutting-edge weaponry, but against Erin Voss, none of it mattered. She wasn't attacking like a soldier. She was stalking them like a predator. Straven tapped into his private comms. Kara, status. Silence. Then. Static. A whisper followed. She's here. Then, gunfire. Screams. Kara was their sniper. She wasn't supposed to be in close-quarters combat. If Erin had already reached her. Straven clenched his jaw. They were in deep trouble. A death box of their own making. The team was holed up in the central command chamber, an underground, reinforced stronghold meant to be the last stand if anything went wrong. Rax Devorian stood by the only entrance, a plasma repeater in his grip, cybernetic arms flexing. Commander, we need to evac now. Straven shook his head. We move, we die. Rax's brow furrowed. She's just one person. Straven stared at him. Then why are we the ones locked inside? The words settled over the squad like a death sentence. They were trapped inside their own fortress, while Erin controlled everything else. The cameras? Useless. Motion sensors? Disabled. Drones? All fried. Every advantage they had? Gone. They weren't in control anymore. They were rats in a cage. The slow collapse of a perfect squad. The silence stretched. Every soldier in the room was scanning the shadows, their rifles trembling slightly in their hands. Then. A soft knock. At the door. No one moved. No one breathed. Then a voice, calm, deliberate, and carrying the weight of 1,000 ghosts. You built a trap for me. Straven's skin prickled. She was right outside. Do you know what that means? The team tensed. It means you think you understand me. A pause. Then. A quiet laugh. That was your first mistake. Rax raised his rifle, stepping toward the door. I'll blow her apart. Stravinsky screamed no. Too late. The entire corridor detonated. A controlled shockwave slammed through the chamber, throwing them back as the reinforced doors bent inward from the force of the explosion. The lights flickered violently. Smoke and dust filled the room. Rax was gone. His massive frame had been at the door when the blast triggered. Now, only scattered limbs and burning debris remained. Straven's ears rang. His vision blurred. A voice cut through the static. Not over the comms. In the room. That was your second mistake. The nightmare begins. She was inside. Through the dust and chaos, Straven glimpsed a flicker of movement, too fast, too fluid. A blade slashed through one of his men's necks, clean and silent. A second soldier went down, a gunshot straight through the visor. By the time Straven's remaining 3 men opened fire, Erin was already gone. The smoke shifted. The lights buzzed. They aimed wildly at shadows. But there was nothing there. "How the hell is she moving like that?" one of them shouted. Straven didn't answer. He was thinking about the stories. The ones that said she didn't work alone. The stories about something else, something older, darker, that moved with her. A presence in the dark. Then, Straven felt it. A cold pressure against his spine. Like something was standing behind him. He whipped around, gun raised. Nothing. Just blackness. But his men weren't so lucky. One of them, Kellen, began hyperventilating. "She's not alone," he gasped. Straven grabbed his shoulder. "There's no one else." Kellen screamed. Not from a bullet. Not from a blade. But from something none of them could see. He collapsed to the ground, clutching his throat, his body convulsing violently. Then, he went still. His eyes wide, mouth frozen in a silent scream of horror. Straven stared. No wounds. No blood. Yet he was dead. His hands clenched into fists. This wasn't war. This wasn't combat. This was something worse. Something inhuman. The realization. Straven turned back to the remains of his team. Only 2 soldiers left now. They were shaking. One was mumbling prayers to a god who wasn't listening. The other had already accepted it, a hollow look in his eyes. Then, a whisper. Right next to his ear. "Do you understand now?" Straven twisted, firing wildly, his plasma rounds tearing through the shadows. Nothing. Silence. Then, footsteps. Slow. Measured. Straven turned. And there she was. Erin Voss. Dressed in black tactical gear, her face partially obscured by a high-tech mask. But it was her eyes that sent a chill through his body. Cold. Unforgiving. And behind her, a shadow that shouldn't exist. It wasn't a person. It wasn't a machine. It was something else. Something that moved without light, without sound, without mercy. Straven finally understood. She wasn't just a mercenary. She wasn't just a soldier for hire. She had made a deal with something beyond human understanding. And now? They were all paying the price. The last mistake. Straven's men opened fire. It didn't matter. The lights went out completely. And the screaming began. Straven had been in hell before. This was worse. He couldn't see. The lights were dead. The emergency systems refused to activate. The world had collapsed into suffocating blackness. And his team? Screaming. Gunfire erupted, short, panicked bursts, blind firing into the dark. Something moved between them, too fast to track. A blade sliced through flesh. A gurgled choke. Another shot, then a wet, meaty impact. Silence. Straven's pulse pounded against his skull. There were only 2 men left. His second-in-command, Vale. And Roth, the demolitions expert. A breath. Then, a whisper. "You should have taken the money, Straven." His blood ran cold. Erin. Somewhere in this darkness, she was right next to them. Vale fired. A single shot. Then a metallic clang. The bullet had hit a wall. Straven's jaw clenched. She wasn't there. She was in their heads. And then, Roth let out a sharp gasp. Straven turned, barely able to make out the silhouette of a long, black blade piercing through Roth's spine. A sharp yank. And Roth's body collapsed lifelessly to the floor. Vale backed up against the wall, panting. "We can't kill her," he whispered. "She's not human." Straven's grip on his rifle tightened. "She bleeds." He lied at ***, and if she bleeds, we can kill her. Vale didn't look convinced. Neither was Straven. Something else in the dark. A low hum filled the chamber. Not from the generators. Not from their equipment. It came from somewhere deeper. A vibration that wasn't mechanical. It was alive. Straven's stomach twisted. Something else was here. Erin's ally. He had heard the legends. A presence. A shadow. Some said it wasn't real. That Erin Voss was just a lone killer, enhanced by tech and training. But the men who said that? They were never the ones who faced her. Vale let out a shaky breath. "We need to." The blackness shifted. It wasn't like normal movement. It coiled. A shadow without a source. And then, Vale screamed. Not from a bullet. Not from a knife. But from something else. Something no one could see. Straven caught only a blur of motion before Vale's body was yanked backward, vanishing into the blackness. The scream cut off. Silence. Straven stood alone. His pulse hammered against his skull. His rifle felt useless in his hands. This wasn't war. This was slaughter. Face to face with death. Then, a single red light flickered on. Not from the overhead systems. Not from his visor. From the end of the room. A dim, eerie glow. Illuminating a figure standing in the darkness. Straven's breath caught in his throat. Erin Voss. She stood there, calm, composed, her black tactical gear untouched by the carnage. No blood on her. Not a single wound. Like she had never even been in danger. And behind her, it moved. A thing that wasn't a person. A silhouette that warped and twisted, blending into the blackness itself. It didn't have a face. But it was watching him. Straven knew, in that moment, what true fear was. This wasn't just a mercenary. This wasn't just a contract killer. She was something else. And whatever stood beside her, had no name. Erin tilted her head. Her voice was calm, almost amused. You don't look surprised, Commander. Straven tightened his grip on his rifle. You made a deal with something. A small, almost playful smile touched her lips. No, Straven. Her eyes gleamed in the dim red light. I became something. She took a step forward. Straven raised his gun. The final mistake. Erin didn't react. Didn't even flinch. Straven fired. The round should have hit her square in the chest. But she wasn't there anymore. A blink. A shift in the shadows. And suddenly, a blade was at his throat. Straven froze. Erin stood right behind him. No sound. No movement. Like she had never even been standing in front of him at all. Impossible. His breath hitched. Her voice was soft. Deadly. This is the part where you beg, Straven. A long, slow beat of silence. He clenched his jaw. Go to hell. She chuckled. I already did. The blade slashed. Blood sprayed across the floor. Straven collapsed to his knees, gasping, hands clutching his neck. Erin stepped in front of him, watching as he bled out. She tilted her head. You never understood, Commander. Her voice was distant. Almost thoughtful. You thought this was just business. She looked down at him. But for me? Her eyes gleamed. This was personal. Straven's vision faded to black. The last thing he saw was the thing standing behind her. The thing that smiled without a mouth. The end of the hunt. Erin exhaled softly. The room was silent. Every single one of them was dead. She had won. She wiped the blood off her blade and sheathed it. Then, she turned to the shadows. It shifted. Moved. Not like a person. Not like a machine. But something else entirely. A voice, low, resonant, almost amused. Satisfied? Erin's lips curled slightly. For now. The shadows receded. And Erin walked away, leaving nothing but bodies behind. Severin Ikar sat in his penthouse, drinking a glass of rare, aged liquor. He felt good. Better than good. The nightmare was over. Straven had confirmed the kill. Erin Voss was dead. The problem was erased, and Ikar's business empire remained intact. No more blackmail. No more threats. No more looking over his shoulder. He exhaled, leaning back in his chair. Play the report again, he ordered. The holographic screen flickered to life, replaying Straven's last transmission. Target neutralized. Minimal casualties. Returning to base. Ikar smiled. The best money could buy. Straven had delivered, as expected. See that he gets his payment, Ikar said, glancing at his assistant, Marlowe. The young man nodded, sending the order through his datapad. Anything else, sir? Ikar swirled his drink. No. He was going to enjoy this moment. Because it was over. Right? Something is wrong. The moment Ikar turned away, his holoscreen flickered. A sharp glitch. Marlowe frowned. Sir. Static filled the screen. The report vanished. The corporate logo corrupted into a jagged, shifting distortion. Then. A voice. Soft. Familiar. You should have killed me yourself, Ikar. Ikar's blood froze. No. No. This wasn't possible. He turned to Marlowe. But his assistant wasn't moving. He was staring at the screen, unblinking, his mouth slightly open. Ikar's breath caught. Marlowe? The young man didn't react. Didn't breathe. Ikar stood, stepping closer. Then saw the truth. The skin on Marlowe's neck was slit open. Deep. Precise. Silent. His eyes were still open. But Marlowe was already dead. Ikar staggered back. The lights flickered. A shadow moved behind him. Then, a cold blade pressed against his throat. A whisper. Did you really think I wouldn't come back for you? Erin. The Reaper's price. Ikar was shaking. Not because of the knife at his throat. But because of what stood beside her. It wasn't human. Not a machine. Not a mercenary. It was something else. Something wrong. The air around it twisted unnaturally. Like the room wasn't real anymore. Like Ikar was seeing something he was never meant to see. And it was watching him. No eyes. But it was watching. Erin leaned closer, voice barely above a whisper. You stole from me. Ikar swallowed. You don't have to do this, he gasped. Erin chuckled. Oh, I know. The knife pressed deeper. But I want to. She leaned closer. And you're going to suffer, Ikar. Just like I did. Then. The lights died. Ikar screamed. The corporate board's last meeting. 18 minutes later. The boardroom of Nairos Corporation was silent. 12 executives sat around a polished black table, discussing profit margins, expansions, and private security contracts. They had no idea what had just happened to their CEO. Then. The doors opened. Not knocked. Not buzzed in. Just opened. A single figure walked inside. And the room went cold. Erin Voss stood at the head of the table. Black tactical gear. A knife in one hand. A severed human head in the other. She tossed it onto the table. It rolled. Stopped. Severin Ikar's lifeless eyes stared up at them. Someone gasped. Someone else stood too fast, knocking over a chair. The security alarms didn't go off. The guards outside didn't respond. Erin smiled. Gentlemen, she said. We need to talk. No deals, no mercy. The head of security, Galen Voss, grabbed his sidearm. Stand down, he barked. Erin tilted her head. Do you even know what you're up against? Galen sneered. A traitor. He pulled the trigger. A shot rang out. But it never hit. The shadow beside Erin moved. The bullet vanished. Like reality itself had swallowed it. The board members went pale. Erin smirked. She walked forward, slow, deliberate. No negotiations. She snapped her fingers. The lights flickered. And suddenly, every door, every exit, every window, vanished. Like the room was never meant to have them. The board members screamed. Erin watched them realize the truth. There was no way out. She smiled. Then she got to work. 12 executives. 12 corpses. By the time the lights came back on, Erin was the only one standing. Blood dripped from the walls. The table was stained red. The executives? Their bodies lay motionless. Some had tried to run. Some had begged. Some had fought. None of them had made it. Erin stepped over the corpses, her boots leaving bloody prints on the floor. She turned to the thing in the corner. Waiting. Watching. Erin exhaled. It's done. The thing smiled without a mouth. Not yet. Erin paused. And then, the building alarms went off. The final move. Outside, sirens wailed. Corporate security forces were mobilizing. Snipers. Armored gunships. The full power of Nairos Corporation. A voice echoed through the speakers. Erin Voss. Surrender, or we will open fire. Erin sighed. She turned to her ally. You take the left. It nodded. She smiled. I'll take the right. Then. They disappeared. And the real massacre began. The Nairos Corporation Tower was on full lockdown. Floodlights lit up the streets. Armored gunships hovered overhead. Hundreds of corporate soldiers formed a perimeter, weapons raised. Behind them, tanks rolled into position, massive barrels aimed at the building's entrances. They weren't taking any chances. They were ready to annihilate Erin Voss. Inside the war room, Colonel Varen Ordis watched from a holographic display. Seal all exits, he ordered. I want every sniper in position. The commander of Nairos's private military force had fought some of the best in the galaxy. Special forces. Assassins. Rebels. But never her. Never Erin. And certainly not what was with her. Erin and the Reaper step outside. The main doors slid open. Erin walked out. Alone. No weapons drawn. No armor. Just calm, confident steps. She stopped in the middle of the street. The entire corporate army had their weapons locked on her. Yet she looked bored. A loudspeaker crackled. Erin Voss. You are surrounded. Erin sighed. She cracked her neck. Am I? The commander narrowed his eyes. He couldn't see anyone else. No backup. No reinforcements. She was outnumbered 1,000 to 1. And then, the shadows behind her twisted. Reality bent. And suddenly, the thing appeared. Something beyond fear. It wasn't human. It wasn't a machine. It wasn't an alien. It was something else. Something impossible. A long, twisted form, wrapped in shifting black. It had no face. But they all felt it looking at them. The entire army hesitated. Something in their instincts screamed at them to run. To drop their weapons and flee. Because what stood before them wasn't something you fought. It was something that happened to you. The commander felt his heart hammering. He forced himself to speak. Open fire. Hell breaks loose. The night exploded. Snipers fired from rooftops. Tanks unleashed shells. Gunships rained plasma down. Hundreds of corporate soldiers unloaded everything they had. But the bullets, the lasers, the missiles. They never hit. They vanished. Swallowed by the space around the entity. Like it refused to be harmed. Like it didn't exist in a way they understood. The soldiers realized too late. Their weapons were useless. And then it moved. The Reaper harvests. The thing didn't attack. It simply stepped forward. And reality collapsed around it. Men screamed. The closest soldiers fell first. Their bodies twisted, snapped, disappeared. Not vaporized. Not burned. Just, gone. Like they had never been there at all. The tanks fired again. And imploded. Their steel frames crushed inwards, folding into unnatural shapes. Gunships tried to retreat. They never got far. The air around them rippled. And they vanished mid-flight. Gone. Not destroyed. Erased. The remaining soldiers turned to run. Erin was already among them. Erin reminds them who she is. She moved like a ghost. Silent. Precise. Lethal. One knife. That's all she needed. One after another. She tore through them. Throats slit. Hearts punctured. She moved too fast. By the time one man hit the ground, she was already cutting through the next. And she never stopped. The few soldiers who turned to fight? She took their weapons and used them against them. One man tried to call for backup. Erin ripped out his throat. Another tried to shoot point blank. She snapped his wrist, then buried his own knife into his eye. Blood covered her. But her face never changed. No rage. No fury. Just pure, controlled violence. She was the storm they never saw coming. And she didn't stop. The final stand. The battlefield was a massacre. Bodies littered the streets. Flames consumed the vehicles. Gunships lay in smoldering wrecks. The few remaining soldiers stood in a desperate circle. Weapons raised. Shaking. Behind them, Colonel Ordis gritted his teeth. This wasn't possible. Erin wasn't this powerful. She wasn't. His thoughts stopped. Because the thing turned to him. And it spoke. Run. Ordis had fought wars. Seen death. Led men into battle. But at that moment, he ran. No survivors. Erin watched him go. She didn't chase. She didn't need to. She turned to her ally. The thing that had walked beside her through blood and death. She nodded once. And it finished the job. The last corporate soldier screamed. Then. Silence. Erin wiped the blood off her blade. She exhaled. And then. She walked away. Behind her, the Nairos Corporation tower burned. The war was over. And she had won. Again.